Okay, hi guys, and welcome to another video. It's been a while since my last video upload. I know you miss me, and likewise I miss you too. Come what may, it is the start of a new year again. So here's to another exciting video to kick off the start of 2024. In my previous videos, we delved deep into the captivating realm of the kris, discussing everything from its rich history to the nuances of collecting. Today, I would like to discuss a topic brought up through a comment on one of my past videos. It was mentioned by the commenter that as a kris collector, he has come across some research indicating that certain individuals believe that the kris was not traditionally used in battlefield combat. I was thus invited to share my perspective on this, supported by historical examples and research. So, without further ado, let's dive into it right now. If we are meeting for the first time, my name is Khairi Johari, better known as Pak JoFe, the Keris Collector from Singapore, your personal guide to the exciting world of the kris and its collecting culture. If you are a fan of history, art, and mythology, embodied into these traditional daggers that we natives of the Malay world refer to as the kris, be sure to subscribe and join our community right here on the Keris Collector YouTube channel. Before I delve deeper, I would like to express my observation. It is somewhat disheartening to see instances where individuals might not fully grasp the richness and depth of a culture different from their own. The eagerness to analyze and interpret without proper context can unintentionally minimize the significance of native heritage and material culture. This illustrates a wider issue. When people discuss subjects that they may not be well versed in without consulting those who are more knowledgeable in the field, the outcome can sometimes perpetuate misunderstandings or misconceptions. Now, it would have been appreciated if the commenter in question had engaged me in a private discussion with me. However, when one does not reciprocate the same level of respect and understanding, it can feel dismissive, especially when they only seek reference and evidence without a genuine interest in dialogue. While part of me feels inclined to set this matter aside, I realize that addressing this concern might benefit a broader audience. Thus, with the intent to educate and provide clarity, I will proceed with this discussion. Let's go. According to a dissertation done by a master's student from University Malaya by the name of Norain Ismail back in 2012, war is defined as a conflict involving the use of weapons that can threaten lives among fellow humans. This suggests with absolute clarity that the use of weapons is a vital element in a war. Before I continue further, for transparency and posterity, I have decided to use parts of this student's dissertation in today's video presentation. Personally, amongst the countless research papers and dissertations that I have had the privilege of access to, this paper is very well researched, structured, and presented. This paper is almost 300 pages long, written in Bahasa Malaysia, and is very comprehensive. If you have access to institutes of higher learning, This paper should be available through your respective institution portal. Now, I will do my best to explore and explain today's topic as simply as I can and as detailed as possible. Let's address the problem statement for today. The kris was never used for fighting on the battlefield. First things first, let's be clear that I do not appoint myself to speak on anyone's behalf. Whatever thoughts or opinions I present today, or even in any of my other previous and future videos, are purely my own. Everyone is welcome to either support or reject them based on their respective intellectual capacity for critical thought and analysis. Additional insights are always welcomed, of course. Also, to put things into perspective, what I present is from the diaspora of the Peninsular Malay regions, whilst the topic on the kris itself is very much broad. I prefer to narrow it down from the region from where I come from. I am a Peninsular Malay native, so I will present on what is related to where I come from. If you need elaborations from the Javanese perspective, seek out a Javanese native. A Balinese, likewise. Sulawesi, same thing. Seek out specific knowledge from respective native subject matter experts. Many collectors, especially those from the West, with their ancestral attribute to colonizing and occupying till this day, make the mistake of applying wholesale the kris culture from one region to another. That, in my opinion, is straight up disrespectful and foolish. You cannot disregard the respective nuances and intricacies unique to each culture. The kris is a shared culture, assimilated into the daily lives of natives from the vast region of Nusantara. Respect should be given to all. Now, I've been collecting and learning about the subject of the kris and the Malay world since 1997. I've met many collectors, academics, silat gurus, empus, pandai besis, and student researchers along the way. Today is the first time I am presented with this rather curious yet somewhat amusing hypothesis that suggests the kris was not used on the battlefield. This hypothesis requires more depth and details before concluding to such a statement. I, for one, would like to understand the context as to how this statement was concluded as such. Unfortunately, my invitation for a private dialogue received no response from this commenter. So I will restrain myself from uneducated assumptions and cynical remarks, although personally I am very much tempted to do so. This brings me back to the point I made earlier in one of my previous video about the pitfalls of informal kris forums and groups. When the blind leads the blind, it eventually leads to disaster, reinforcing my belief that it is a waste of time to be involved with discussions that has no academic merit whatsoever. While I will just make an educated guess that perhaps literature on the subject is not widely available in English or whatever native language familiar to this commenter. Historical texts are one of the most fascinating sources of study when appreciated and understood, and they are especially suitable as reference sources, particularly when studying the Malay world. Other sources like native oral and martial arts traditions too are invaluable sources. But in the interest of academic integrity, somewhat risk becoming discredited unless it has been formally documented with academic rigor. Tufat al-Nafis is one of the most complex, sophisticated, yet reliable historical sources compared to other works written before the 20th century. This work by the late Raja Ali Haji Ahmad is also known as the Encyclopedia of Malay Life. because it extensively depicts aspects of human life, especially matters revolving around war that occurred among the Malays in general and the Bugis people in particular. Raja Ali Haji was born in 1804 and passed away in 1872. He is a poet, a scholar, a historian, and an intellectual figure in the classical world, and also involved in compiling the history of the Bugis people in the Malay and their relations with Malay kings. The manuscript is found to use precise dates and specific reference sources to produce. There are more than 10 incidents of war recorded in this text, and because of this, I have chosen this manuscript title as the primary reference material for today's video. Translated to Malay, Tufat al-Nafis simply means hadiah yang berharga. In English, it's simply translated as the precious gift. Originally written in the Malay language and in the Jawi writing form, this text has been transliterated and reprinted over the years. To non-Malay speakers, this manuscript has been translated into English by Virginia Matheson and first published in 1982. Fast forward to 30 years later, this book was reprinted in 2012 with a fresh look, to which I have a copy here. As you can see, it is quite the tome that chronicles events related to the Malays and the Bugis in the 19th century and was considered ahead of its time then. I picked this up recently and I am relieved that this copy is still available for sale. It is a must-have for any students of Malay history, and you can check out the link to the website in the show notes description of this video. Now, after having read this cover to cover, in my opinion, this translated version is translated in the same rigor as the original text in Malay, and its meanings does not deviate much from the original, comparing this to the 1982 version. This one reads more dignified and elevated, so I definitely recommend this book. In Tufat al-Nafis, it is mentioned that warfare requires equipment consisting of weapons. Indeed, the role of weapons is so synonymous with warfare, aligning with its purpose as a tool for defense and offense during conflict. Malay weaponry can be classified further into two separate functional categories, primarily offensive and defensive weapons. Each plays a crucial role either in attacking or defending against threats from enemies. However, when studied in detail regarding weapons, their role is not just seen in warfare, but extends broadly across various fields. Here is an analysis table related to the types of weapons as mentioned in Tufat al-Nafis text. As you can see, in this manuscript alone, there are more than 20 different types of weapon classes mentioned, inclusive of defensive armaments and clothing. So, in essence, this counters the fallacious allegations that the Malays were a backward bunch whom only used rusty kris blades in a war. Far from it. There's several mention of the use of firearms in this text as well. Based on the analysis conducted, the kris is mentioned only 20 times in the text Tufat al-Nafis, and it is found to be predominantly used as a tool for self-defense, especially during warfare. This is evidenced in the following text as mentioned by Raja Ali Haji. The content of the text primarily illustrates the use of the kris in warfare and conflicts such as those that occurred between the Dutch and the people of Selangor, where the Selangor residents used the kris to stab the Dutch at night. Additionally, researchers have found that the text also mentions the kris being given as a gift. This is evident in the following text. The kris was an essential item at the time as a means of self-defense. It was not only obtained as a weapon, but was also used in daily life in various ways. As mentioned in the text excerpt, the kris was made into a gift parcel or for all the kings, crafted from attractive materials and carvings. The events of war recorded in the text Tufat al-Nafis extensively showcase the use of the kris as tools of war. In addition to this, the weapons mentioned in the text are also used in everyday life, in various fields, including as merchandise, gift parcels, and more. The kris are a traditional heritage of a nation, elevated in status in terms of their use. This clearly demonstrates that the kris are a vital element in a system of defense and self-protection to maintain universal peace. Overall, based on the examination of the text Tufat al-Nafis, it can be concluded that the weapons used in the events of the war consisted of two characteristics: defensive and offensive. It is evident that the use of offensive weapons other than the kris was more dominant at the time, with an average of nearly 20 types, and cannons were particularly powerful tool that at the time for launching attacks. Nevertheless, defensive weapons were also carried and used in war as a means to protect and defend oneself from enemy attacks. The intended offensive weapons included war uniforms such as armor, chain trousers, helmets, chainmail, jackets, and most importantly, the military also used shields in conjunction with certain weapons. Besides being an apparatus for war, they were also used as merchandise capable of generating economic development for a kingdom. Indeed, they could contribute to the expansion of power and diplomatic relations with foreign entities. Today's video has merely scratched the surface of the profound insights offered by this timeless classic. I acknowledge that my presentation hardly does it any justice. To truly grasp the depth and breadth of this masterpiece, I strongly encourage you to obtain a copy and dive into its pages yourself. Beyond just the detailed portrayal of Malay weaponry, the text explores a multitude of themes, offering valuable lessons and deeper reflections. I have personally found great enjoyment and insight in this book. One of the most compelling aspects for me is how Tufat al-Nafis distinguishes itself from other historical Malay writings by vividly depicting a world on the cusp of significant change. Picture a time when imposing steamships began to overshadow traditional sailing vessels, and innovative printing presses rapidly replaced meticulous handwritten manuscripts. It was an era where conventional customs and power structures were being questioned and reshaped by colonial influences. This book not only recognizes that change is a constant, but also provides a mesmerizing glimpse into the transformation from an old world to a new one. So, if you are able to, I urge you to get your own copy. In doing so, you help preserve our rich heritage by engaging with and understanding it. Thank you for being a part of the Keris Collector's journey, exploring the multifaceted world of the kris as one of the many implements of war in today's video special. If you have learned something new from today's video, do have a care and remember to subscribe, like, and share if you would. Your support will help this video reach out to other kris enthusiasts out there and will allow them to discover and explore deeper into the facets of kris collecting in upcoming episodes. Do share your thoughts and questions in the comments below, and let's weave the future of kris collecting together. If you need a refresher on the salient points I shared in my previous videos, check them out right here. Until my next video, keep learning, keep exploring, and treasure the stories that unfold with each piece added into your collection. I'll see you in my next video series. Happy collecting, everyone, and a happy new year.